Mourning in Ukraine. Russia tightens the pincers around Pokrovsk, Chasiv Yar, and Toretsk are lost. Good day, dear friends. We are still with you in our daily format, studying the situation on the front lines. Last night, long-range missile strikes were once again carried out on Bryansk, and there was a massive drone attack on the Rostov region, Tula, Saratov, and Kazan. The geography is extensive. What does this indicate? Perhaps it shows how someone is desperately striving for negotiations or trying to divert attention from the problems occurring on the ground. And the problems for the Ukrainian armed forces on the ground are indeed colossal. You'll even see this today as entire companies are abandoning defensive positions. So, let's begin by opening the map. Today we'll talk about the Pokrovsk direction. Despite the fact that the Ukrainian armed forces recently transferred fairly significant reserves to this area, they still face serious issues with personnel, both in terms of numbers and quality. Many of these reserves are recently mobilized ordinary civilians with neither adequate training nor, more importantly, motivation. As a result, the Ukrainian armed forces are experiencing more and more failures. On the western flank of Pokrovsk, there has been a collapse. Look at what happened here. You see this section along the line of two villages, Solenoye and Volshy. Here, the Ukrainian armed forces had a line of defense for some time. For almost a week, they managed to hold back the offensive fairly successfully. There were some tactical successes by the Russian army, such as reaching the quarry here, but overall, the defensive line served its purpose. However, a few days ago, the Ukrainian command conducted a rotation and brought in those very reserves. The result is visible on the map. The defense crumbled. The Ukrainian armed forces retreated. Not just retreated, but an entire company fled, abandoning their positions entirely. Now the Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, or whoever is responsible in Ukraine, will be searching for them in the forests and fields. As a result of this retreat, the entire area, 3 kilometers deep and almost 4 kilometers wide, has come under Russian control. That's nearly 11 square kilometers. However, it's not the size of the territory that matters most, but the positions the Russian troops have reached. Take a look. The railway line. The area before the railway and the railway itself are now under Russian control. The Ukrainian soldiers retreated beyond it, establishing a defensive line between the villages of Kotlino and Udakshnoye, as well as in the villages themselves. Now, the Ukrainian armed forces will try to hold back the Russian advance in this area, as the next target is the important road connecting Dnipro to Pokrovsk. This road currently supports around 90% of the logistics for the area, as another road previously used, from Kramatorsk and Kostiantynivka, has effectively been cut off. Now, regarding the road from Dnipro to Pokrovsk, with the Russian forces reaching the railway, the distance to the highway has been reduced to 7.5 kilometers. This means FPV drones, with a range of 8 to 10 kilometers, can now reach it. As a result, the logistics of the Ukrainian armed forces garrison will be significantly complicated. What will happen if the Ukrainian defense between Udaknoye and Kotlino also collapses? It's a rhetorical question. In short, General Mordvich's tactics are in action, not to attack Pokrovsk head-on, but to bypass it with a wide front. In addition to the Dnipro-Pokrovsk highway, this area also includes the largest coking coal mine, the Pokrovskaya mine. Now, Russian positions are just 2 kilometers away from it. Yesterday, Ukrainian media were mourning this situation. Understandably so, as Ukraine's metallurgical industry could immediately see a 50% reduction in capacity. This is serious. Reports this morning indicated that Russian forward units entered the eastern outskirts of Udaknoye. Whether they managed to secure the area or not was unclear at the time of this recording. In any case, battles for this important settlement will begin either today or tomorrow. One more important detail, look at where the Russian positions are now in relation to the border with the Dnipropetrovsk region. It's now less than 7 kilometers. Yesterday, a video surfaced showing a Russian flag in the village of Peshanaya. Although the village de facto came under control over a week ago, it's only now that the American maps I use have recognized its loss and marked it in red. Currently, Russian troops are on the outskirts of Zverevka. Will there be an attempt to storm this settlement in the coming days? We'll see. In any case, Zverevka connects to Pervomaisk. and Pervomaisk leads directly to the city of Pokrovsk. Well, that was the western flank of Pokrovsk. On the eastern flank, the Ukrainian armed forces are facing equally dire circumstances. Although there hasn't been a visible retreat or abandonment of positions here, the outcome for the Ukrainian armed forces is the same. Look, Russian troops made a push and broke through the defense. As a result, they advanced 3 kilometers and reached the Konstantinovka-Pokrovsk highway. Though, in my opinion, it would be more accurate to call it the Kramatorsk-Pokrovsk highway, since logistics were coming not from Konstantinovka, but from Kramatorsk, passing through Konstantinovka. The point is that this highway has now been physically cut off. Videos of the Russian breakthrough and equipment moving onto the highway have already appeared online. As a result, Ukrainian forces lost 5 square kilometers of territory, as well as one of the key supply routes for the garrisons in Mirnohrad and Pokrovsk. Now almost all logistics have shifted to the Dnipro-Pokrovsk highway, but as we mentioned, Russian forces are now only 7 kilometers away from it. In general, both on the western and eastern flanks, the Ukrainian armed forces are facing catastrophic problems. The tactics of General Mordvichev, as I mentioned, are working, and this is visible to the naked eye. Other developments. Yesterday it was confirmed via objective control data that the village of Neskuchnoye near Velika Novoselivka came under Russian control. Additionally, Russian forces advanced 600 meters southward, closer to Velika Novoselivka from Novokomar. Here too, everything seems to be heading toward its conclusion. Velika Novoselivka direction. As of January 14th, the systematic strangulation of the Ukrainian garrison. After several weeks of blockade that surrounded the 110th Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces in Velika Novoselivka, Russian forces have gradually begun its systematic destruction. First, it was Neskuchnoye. Then, Ukrainian forces north of Velika Novoselivka were squeezed. Now the fighting is gradually shifting to Vremivka. Once Vremivka is liberated, the pressure on the garrison in Velika Novoselivka will intensify, and the Ukrainian grouping will completely collapse. The 110th Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, as a combat force, will essentially be neutralized. This is the scenario currently unfolding in this direction. Novopavlivka direction, as of January 14th. Russian forces tighten the noose around Dakhnoye. In the Novopavlivka direction, Russian forces continue assault actions on the eastern outskirts of the settlement of Andreevka. They are also tightening the noose around Dakhnoye, encircling it from 3 sides. Additionally, positions south of Kostiantynivka are being probed. This shows that the primary focus of Russian forces in this section is to eliminate this pocket along the Volchya River, aiming to inflict maximum losses on Ukrainian forces and clear out this growth. Mirnohrad direction, as of January 14th. Malinivka interchange, Vodiane 2nd, Baranivka. As before, these 3 settlements and their surroundings remain the points of Russian pressure in this section. Even a quick look at the map shows that the main strike by the Russian army is not aimed at encircling Pokrovsk and Mirnohrad from the east. This will happen later, but slightly to the east of that. This indicates that the Russian command's immediate goal is to defeat the Ukrainian grouping between the Toretsk and Pokrovsk agglomerations, which is a logical next step following the liberation of Toretsk. Chasiv Yar direction, as of January 14th, the final battle for the city center. The Ukrainian side refuses to surrender the center of Chasiv Yar and is launching desperate counterattacks to reclaim recently lost positions. Apparently, the political leadership in Kyiv demands this. Without such counterattacks, Chasiv Yar would fall as quickly as the already liberated Kurakov or Toretsk, where the Ukrainian defenses, as seen over the past 2 weeks, crumbled. Without counterattacks, Chasiv Yar is likely to fall just as quickly. That's why these counterattacks are being conducted. On the other hand, such attacks play into the hands of the Russian side. They drain Ukrainian forces faster, and we must not forget the significant impact this has on the morale of their troops. Fighting continues for the high-rise district in the city center.